everyone.
Everyone,
Welcome
welcome.
to today's Will You Give Me a Reading? It is Wednesday, May 25th, and I am here most Wednesdays where we are talking about all things tarot and Lenormand and all things divinatory and fun. I'm so glad you're here today. For those of you that are going to come in live, and for those of you who are tuning in later, welcome. You will also see another copy of this chat on Instagram as well, so we can use both platforms. So today I am so excited to have my really special friend, my Lenormand partner in crime, V. Welcome so much to our chat today. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Still having Ireland withdrawals, but doing good otherwise.
So can you tell our people, like, who are you? What are you about? What do you got going on? How can they connect with you?
Whew. All right. So, hi everyone. I am V. I am known as the Tarot BFF in the world of divination. I am a reader by heart. So it's not just tarot, but I love Lenormand. I love charms. Anything that I can possibly read, I will read it for you. um, I've been a professional reader for about 8 years now. I'm in Detroit, Michigan, and you can find me at www.redlightreadings.com, where I spill the tea. So, yeah.
Spilling that tea all day, every day.
And it's hot. It's always hot tea.
Oh. Yes, indeed. So I just came back from Dallas, where I went to the International Divination event, Tide for short, and there
Mhm.
was tea being spilled all every which way.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I had so much FOMO watching and looking at the videos, and I was just like, oh, but that's okay.
Including so cool. Nancy Hendrickson and Carrie Paris
Mm.
debuted their Dia de los Muertos new Lenormand deck.
Oh, whoa,
Oh,
nice.
yeah, and we got, like, little samples, and then she gave us some charms, and we overlaid them to
Nice.
do a reading where we're speaking from our ancestors. It was incredible. I will tell
Wow.
you more about that later.
Yes.
But it's funny because I was talking to Nancy. I was like, I have this idea. I want to do Lenormand to see what Lenormand looks like as a past life reading. And I know you do a lot of Lenormand readings, and you also teach it. How
Yes.
long have you been doing Lenormand?
Oh, I want to say I started somewhere around 2011, 2012. But for
Okay.
me, and I like to call myself divilingual because I speak
Mhm.
both tarot and Lenormand, and I like to read them together in readings. But it took me about 2 years to really get a foundation and a handle on Lenormand, starting from tarot, and then having to kind of learn the different language of paring things down and making it very direct in Lenormand was hard for
Mhm.
me to switch between the two. So it took me a
Mhm.
good 2 years of, okay, I'm into it. And then nothing makes sense, throw all the cards away. And then I'm back into it and then throw them all away. So, so yeah, I've been on this road for a while and now I feel very comfortable reading them independently, reading them together, and creating new things from the marriage. So, yeah.
That's really cool. And I agree with you. I think, like, the more well versed you are in tarot, the harder the transition is to Lenormand, because you keep having tarot brain
Mm-hmm.
and you have to find a way to suppress that. So you have
Yes.
Lenormand brain. It's a very, very different way of working with the deck. And there's definitely a lot of, like, Lenormand is very bossy.
Oh, yes.
Like, the culture, it's like, this is your house, these are the rules, you're not
Yep.
supposed to break these rules. If you're breaking these rules, then you're no longer doing Lenormand,
Mhm.
right?
I always compare them to tarot kind of being the big sister and Lenormand being the little sister, whereas
Mhm.
tarot is, very responsible, very much about the structure, the order. It goes to, I would say it's the big sister that goes to the ice cream shop and shares a milkshake with her boyfriend.
Mhm.
Lenormand is the little sister. It comes, wreaks havoc. It swears. It's kissing its boyfriend under the bleachers. Like, it's just leather coat, the whole nine. Like, it's just King's English and slang for me.
Right. Lenormand's like,
No holds
mhm.
barred. the
We're
whole
not
time.
gonna mince words here,
Mm,
friend.
not at all. Not at all.
So yeah, today I'm definitely did something that's not technically within the Lenormand house, but I
Mhm.
wanted to play around with this idea. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. So, and then also you and I went to Ireland last month,
Yes.
which I mean, those of you who are tuning in here, you must go to her socials if you want to share that once more with
Yes.
her gorgeous like pictures of this queen at the castle. And, Ireland is such an intense, experience. It
Mhm.
was for me, both times for different reasons. And also it was a very provocative or
Mhm.
evocative really experience for you too. Like, you definitely have felt a connection with Ireland for a long time, right?
Definitely, definitely. Since 6, something I couldn't explain, and it took me 36 years to finally put my feet in Irish soil and to say, "I'm home." I was been toying with my husband. I'm like, "So how about we get dual citizenship in Ireland?" Like,
You're like, "It was so nice there."
it was beautiful.
So, my question for you is, like, since you've come back and it's been, like, about a little more than a month since we've returned, like, have you had any insights that you care to share or talk about since having been there?
Um, the biggest things that I have, um, witnessed. And it's funny because I remember talking to you, and it's like I thought as soon as I would get there, it was going to be this miraculous thing that happened. I watched too much TV, but it wasn't until I got home that it all kind of registered and sunk in. And one of them is about being present.
Mhm,
Being where we were, it was a lot slower.
mhm,
There was a lot of nature. There was just kind of take your time and
mhm,
enjoy where you are and what you're doing. And being a city girl growing up, where there's always something going on, I wasn't necessarily used to that slower pace. But when I came home, I'm like, no, no, this is something that I really want to continue to adopt in my world. So I found myself being outside more, walking in the grass barefoot more, um,
Really?
not allowing myself to over process or overthink things and just
Mhm.
kind of let them be and let them sort themselves out. Because when I jump into that hyper mode of trying to make things happen and go real fast, I burn myself out much faster. So I've just kind of been coasting, and things have been great. And it's so funny because people have my socials and say, "Oh my God, you're glowing. Oh my God." And I'm like, first off, I'm using a pretty damn good filter. But they're like, no, no, it's
Ah.
beyond the filter. It's beyond the filter. So I know that I'm doing something right. And I think the presence, um,
Mhm,
and just allowing myself to be instead
mhm,
of trying to keep up with everyone else
mhm,
has
mhm,
been a big shift for me.
mhm.
And
That's
just the
gorgeous.
self-confidence of flying that far by myself, going somewhere on this that whirlwind adventure by myself, meeting people there that I knew, but
Mhm.
this was the furthest trip that I'd taken on my own.
Awesome. Well,
So
it's the you know what? I got some more places if you wanna go, we can
oh, yeah.
go.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. Um, so, would you say that you feel that you've had a past life connection in Ireland? Would that be what this may be for you in some way, shape, or form?
Most
Okay,
definitely.
okay.
And it's interesting because I'm currently in a certification for Taboo Institute, and we've
Mm.
been learning a modality called chronomapping,
Mhm,
which is basically using techniques of hypnosis to take yourself back into some past life to kind of neutralize some emotions or some feelings and things. And very vividly, one of them I was in on land. It was looked very medieval. There was a castle. I was like this princess in some forest, and it just felt very natural, you
mhm.
know. And my name is Siobhan. It's Irish. I was born in May. Green is my birthstone. I mean, emerald is my birthstone. There's just little things
Yeah.
that
Yep.
have always led me there.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm. I've definitely had that experience in Turkey when I went to Istanbul, just flying in and just, because when I was teaching English many years ago, everyone's like, "Why Istanbul?" And I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
And then I got there and I felt at home in a way I can't quite explain, so
Okay.
there's definitely some kind of resonance there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, when I thought about doing this, I was like, "I know who I need to have on to do this with me," so thank you so much.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna let's see here, share my screen. So first I'm going to walk through this process and then we're going to do one and maybe do more than one if we've got time.
Okay.
And then I'm definitely going to need your feedback and insight as we get into it. So
Definitely.
let's put us here. So this is basically the spread, and I'm going to talk about each one of these positions.
Okay.
Um, because I do treat them a little differently.
Mhm.
How we so first how we shuffle and pull the cards is unusual. So you're going to shuffle and then you're going to flip them right side up, right? And then
Yep.
you're going to go from right to left, like thinking about like this moment in time is you, and then all the things on the left are like what is behind you. So we go until we get to the coffin, and then we go from the coffin to the first person, and then we are going to use the cards between those.
Okay.
And before any of you guys are like, what if there's one or two cards? We'll get there. We'll get there. Hold those questions. All will be revealed. So I want to talk a little bit about each one of these positions. So they're basically telling the story of that past life in a big picture sense. So number one is obviously like home. What was your home like? What did that
Mhm.
look like for you? Two, garden. What was your culture or community or tribe? Like that's kind of that piece. Three, maybe what did you do for a living?
Mhm.
Four was your health. And I wanted to put this in because, people weren't like healthy like we are now.
Right.
Like health was a bigger deal.
Very much so.
People before antibiotics, all that. So that's something
Mhm.
I wanted to look at. And of course, ring, partnership, marriage, that kind of thing. And then I used bear for motherhood, actually. For me, bear is often the mother. So
Mhm.
children, no children, what's the deal? And here's where it gets a little different. So for Fox, for me, I tend to follow Rana George's lead and use Fox as an entrepreneurial card. So I
Okay.
know for some people there's a negative connotation for Fox, maybe because I Fox is my spirit animal. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm a little, biased. So I mostly see it as the entrepreneur card, but also the search, the seeking, the search. So I'm
Okay.
seeing the Fox here as maybe the hunger in life or the desire in life. What was this person looking for? What did this person desire? So that gets a little tarot-ish, like a little
Mhm.
psychological. And then eight is clover, meaning what worked for you in that past life? What was working for that person? And
Mhm.
then cross, what was the burden? What was their life burden? And then the
Mhm.
final message is 10, which is like, what is that past life's message for you today?
I like that.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds
Okay.
awesome.
Cool. So I'm going to now go down to, oops, where are you? There you are. We're going to go to my handy dandy stuff. So this is just me laying out the houses. So
Okay.
we are treating these like you would with the grand tableau. Like these are
Mhm.
the natal houses, and then we're going to overlay the cards on top. And so now we can kind of get into that. So sometimes you may not get a lot of cards between
Mhm.
the coffin and the person. And that often was the case. People often didn't live very long. Lots of children died back then. It could indicate a child that you died in childhood in some way.
Mhm.
Um, in rare cases, maybe coffin is the last card in the whole shebang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I kind of see it as like ask again later. Like this information maybe isn't open to you in some way.
Mhm.
um if the coffin is after the people, it's kind of like, this is not the time to do this maybe right now.
Right.
Maybe I should be doing a future life reading instead.
Mhm.
And then if you get more than 10 cards like in that spread between coffin and the person, what I would do is I'd go through the 10 and then start back at 1 and then stack them. So say
Okay.
you have like 12 cards, right? So then
Mhm.
you get to the 10 at the letter, then you're going
Mhm.
to add that one extra card to home and one extra card to garden. So you're gonna kinda come back
Clarify.
around. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I see that as, well, like there wants to be more expressed here.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to keep it short because I think you could also do this just as a grand tableau for your past life, but I
Mhm.
really liked a much more shorter for people that are still really learning Lenormand, way of kind of interacting with like just those double card meanings. Is that
Okay.
pretty clear?
No, yeah.
All right, cool. Oh, so Jonathan says that he created his own acupuncture system for releasing old life patterns. That
Hmm,
is so cool. Well,
nice.
do this, everyone, do this reading and go see Jonathan and get acupuncture with what shows up. So you said you had done it before and you only got 2 cards, right?
I did, between my coffin, well, actually, I didn't the man and woman didn't show up, but the child did. And so between that, it was only 1 card, and it was the stork.
Ah, so you were using the child as the one of the stop cards.
That's the only that was the only, like, person
Oh,
card. Yeah,
at the end. Okay, got it, got
yeah.
it, got it. So, even though I'm using this is the Dreaming Way Lenormand for those of
Mhm.
you who like it. And what I'm going to do is I'm really going to use another deck. So I'm just using these to illustrate the positions for everybody, but I'm not going to use a deck that's only half like has that's missing
Right.
all these cards. So for the rest of them, I'm going to be using Jamie Sawyer's Lenormand for those of you that are
Yes.
interested. So yeah, do you want me to do one for you and we can play and talk about
I
it?
I would I'm setting my houses up on my table here, so yes, but I would love to see what you come up with for one of my past lives.
Yeah, yes. So I'll keep shuffling until you tell me to stop, until you
Okay.
get that vibe. Ooh,
Hmm. Okay.
okay. So I'm just going to show everyone like this is what it looks like, and then I flip it over. And then I start going from the top, which is like most recent, going this way, right? Which is often like, right, heading towards the left is considered past. So I'm going to continue to look until I find, I swear, this is going to probably be the example where the coffin is after the people, probably.
Right?
I know. I'm like, no, don't do that. Where is that coffin? Oh my God. No, it did it.
The
Anyway,
last 3 again.
last 3. That's so weird.
That's exactly
All right. So maybe we'll do that. Like if it's not like if there's no people between coffin, then you're just going to take whatever's the last and then you read that. So then you put the coffin aside and you're only reading these 2. So then you
Okay.
start here, the one that's closest to the right, and then you're going to overlay it. So you have garden and house, and
Mhm.
then you have garden and writer. And so I kind of see this as there must have been, this is a shorter life that we're looking at. So it
Mhm.
didn't get to become like an
Mhm.
adult. But the 2 things we do see here is garden and house. And so garden in the house of house. So for me, this must be a very, very old past life because home was in the forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That maybe not even a home in the way that we think of home, right? Like home in
Right.
the forest was just like, this is our patch of of the forest.
Mhm.
And then we have Ryder in the house of garden, which to me, Ryder is interesting because for me, it is probably like a hunter gatherer people's, right?
Mhm.
We're always on the move, or we're
Mhm.
always like kind of looking for things or bringing things to other things. Like
Mhm.
there's a sense of migration that I've seen is really common.
And it actually makes me think of, and I don't know the PC term, um, for more like the Romani people that were kind
Mm,
of where they just kind of they lived all together, but they're
mhm,
like you said, the migration, the movement of the coming and going and
mhm,
packing up and just moving to different places and settling there for a while, and then packing up and moving to another place and settling there
mhm,
for a while. So,
mhm, mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think these 2 short cars is that this was maybe like a shorter life. It could have been a childhood and it and
Mhm.
that part didn't make it. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
try again. I was like, "Don't
Okay.
you do this to me." So usually when I've been doing it a bunch of times, I've not run into this issue,
I
but
just have I just have very short spurts of life in different.
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of them, right? I find I find doing these though are really comforting because it gives us the larger context of like there's no failure. You can't fail out of life. You can't fail
Mhm.
out of reincarnation. And really I take that idea of like you're here to learn your lessons,
Yeah.
but if you don't learn them, that's not do or die. You're just gonna you come back and you're like, I didn't get to that lesson. All right, well, next
Mhm.
time I'll get to
Yes.
that lesson.
My theme for these readings, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, apparently.
All right, so give
Alright.
me tell me again when to stop.
Mhm. Okay, stop.
Okay, so we'll try it again. So here we're flipping it. So I swear this has not done this for me. Okay,
There
so
we
there's
go.
the coffin. And then now we're gonna go until we see the man. Wow. Well, there it is.
There we
Wow.
go. Okay.
So it has made up for the last one. So we're going
Yes.
to discard garden or coffin and discard man, and we're going to use these cards here.
Okay.
And then we're going to put them down. So we'll have mice in the house of house. We'll have stars in the house of garden or community. Very interesting.
Mhm.
House in the house of anchor.
Okay.
Tree, bouquet and tree.
Okay.
Clover and ring.
Okay.
Fox and bear.
Okay.
You have fox and birds. Oh, that's
Mhm.
interesting. You have cross and book. Oh,
Okay.
wow. You have letter and clover. And then you have mountain
Mm.
in letter. And then we have extra. So we're just going to come back down here and
Mhm.
then just kind of stack the meanings. So now we have tower and mice in house.
Mhm.
And we have sun and stars in garden.
Mm. Okay.
And then, wow, house and anchor in anchor.
Hmm.
Really wants to let you know that that is his job.
Yeah.
And then clouds and bouquet and tree. Oh, that's fascinating. And then finally, moon and clover in ring. Oh,
Okay.
that's really nice. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently
So
he
do
was
you
married.
want me just to kind of go through what I think it might be talking about? And
Go
then you
for
can
it.
chime in? Okay.
Yeah.
So house, right? So to me, this is like you're also your immediate family.
Mhm.
And I find it's really interesting that you have mice and tower here because for mice, I feel like this is giving me some kind of timeline. Um, and then you have tower. And I feel like this must have been around a time where there was maybe a plague
Hmm.
running through. Like there was
Okay.
some illness or sickness that had come through the house or come through the community in some way. But
Mhm.
then you have tower, which is for me like rising above that. Like we were coming through the situation. To me, it also could be poverty, because mice are just trying to run around, get some cheese wherever they can, right?
Yep.
Or it could also mean with mice and tower that there's like a peasant situation.
Mhm.
Like you were
Mhm.
the peasants of somebody else's land, like trying to get some cheese, you know what I mean? It could be something like that. So there could be like a class differential here that I'm
I
seeing.
was just gonna say that. Yeah, like some sense with the government and being on a lower class in some way with those mice. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Or even like something that's illegitimate in some way.
Mhm.
Maybe like you were like the bastard child of the Lord,
That
where it
sounds
was
like
like everybody knew,
the
but
outcast. That carries over. The black sheep.
Oh,
But it also
so
makes me think of like a small family that could have a lot of structure and rules too,
yeah, that's true
like
too. That's
within
true
the
too.
home dynamic.
Yeah. Maybe even like maybe a little conservative, like this is how we
Mhm.
do this here.
Yeah.
This is how this is how the command structure is of this home, right?
Yes. Yep.
And it could literally mean I was in a tower. If you remember when we were in Ireland,
I stayed in the
people
tower.
lived in those towers, didn't they?
Yep.
So very fascinating. See how much you can get just from a few cards. So
Mhm.
interesting. And then we're going to talk more about the community, right, which is the garden. And what's interesting to me is like stars and sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like when I look at that, it really tells me about like a tight-knit community or like a happy community. Like
Yeah.
everyone liked each other. It felt good to be part of this community.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the stars, it just I don't know, it just gives me nothing but like an emotional feeling of like happiness and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like if the mice was something like bad had happened, but we're like, you know, we start at the bottom, but we're here, we're like working, we're like getting things are getting better every day, and we're
Yeah.
working on it, and we have these ideas and goals.
And just being in that space of tight knit, it's like we've seen some bad times, but we all work together. Like it takes a village, basically,
That's
is what
right.
I'm feeling. And sometimes you can be in that space of poor and possibly unhappy, but
Hmm.
you recognize where the gratitude is. You're still optimistic. You're still hopeful.
Hmm.
And just because you don't know anything else, honestly, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's really interesting too as we move to anchor, what's a job? And you get house and then anchor again. So to me, this also is feeling like maybe you are like on somebody else's land because
Hmm.
like my work is at home. Home is work and work is home,
Yeah.
right? This is where I'm working. I'm not really
Hmm.
going anywhere. And that makes sense that and if you weren't like Romani or Roma, whatever,
Hmm.
people at that time, they didn't really travel that far, right? Like they
Hmm.
didn't go, like they stayed close to where the food was,
Hmm.
right? Anything you see with that?
It also makes me think of, and just because I'm African American,
Mhm.
um, with I see the house, the anchor, the house, and then the anchor, where working perhaps on someone's land, plantation, field, and that anchor just being heavy, instead of the
Mm.
work, because we already
Oof.
know it's work, but the
Yeah.
anchor makes it heavy work, labor
So
work.
this could be an enslavement past
Hmm.
life too. Yeah, I was thinking that as well, like because you have like
All of the
that
things before
mice,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Like, oh, like what
all of
you work is not yours, or you're considered to be stealing what it is that you work.
it. Hmm.
And then you have, but like it's a community that despite like
Exactly.
all of that, we're
Yep.
still holding it down and we care for one another and love one another. And the
Hmm.
community is good despite that. Yeah, I
Hmm.
was I was kind of thinking that too.
Yeah,
But I was like, I
and
don't know.
it makes me think of with the stars, the element of psychism and just elements of magic, and
Mhm.
how the community stayed together or through those things too. So,
Mhm. 100%. Yeah. And it's interesting to me too, because when we look up here at tree, you get bouquet with tree. So I feel like this is this past life of you saying, I was a handsome man. I was good looking, you know?
yes,
I was the ladies' man. You need to know that
yes,
about me. But clouds, like I wonder too, is like maybe dealing with migraines or something of the head, or
hmm,
maybe even saying later on I had dementia. That was something that happened later for me, but until then,
yeah,
my health was pretty good. Like I get the
hmm,
sense of someone that was more long lived because of all the cards.
right,
Um, and then we have the two. Let me see. This is ring, and I really love this because you have moon and clover here, and I
hmm,
feel like that's like ours was a love match? Like,
yes,
I was happily married.
definitely,
Happily married.
yeah, yep. With the moon there makes me think of romance. The joy with the clover and, yeah, just this was my person. I had a
Yeah,
person.
and, like, the luck element is, like, saying, "This was not arranged.
Right.
This was a
Yep.
chance meet. This was not an arrangement. Like,
It was a
we met each
serendipitous
other."
moment. Uh-huh.
Um, isn't it cool how a picture really starts to
Mhm.
show up? I think it's so neat.
Definitely.
And then we have bear and fox. So for me, bear is just like the placeholder for children. And we do get fox. So at least we're seeing maybe one child at least,
Mhm.
some clever child,
Mhm.
entrepreneurial child, at least that we have one kid that shows up.
Yeah.
Anything else you see with that?
Well, I was actually coming back to the moon there in the
Oh, yeah.
marriage. So I don't know, depending on the rest of the cards and how they go up and I don't the timeline was perhaps there was some recognition that came from the marriage or something
Mm,
changed from the marriage.
good point. Really good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, because
Because
you
of
got
the
that
clover.
moon kind of clout kind of factor, fit like fame, and that's a
Mhm.
really good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this person, maybe they were like a power couple, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, they were the 2 that people went to help do whatever, like,
Yeah.
everyone knew about this married couple, and they
Yeah.
were good. Oh, like, I'm, like, feeling so emotional right now. That's so sweet. And then when you're going to, Fox, right?
Mhm.
What was the thing that was like your life's work, the thing you were searching for, your desire? And I love birds, right? Like, to me, this was someone who was a community person,
Mhm.
right? Making sure that we're all connected, we're all talking.
Mhm.
Like, there is a feeling of even maybe politics, even if it was unofficial politics,
Yeah.
right? Like someone with clout in this community. And that was really, really something that was very important for them.
A communicator,
I
you
could
know.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
And even in that space of, even just as a what I do now is helping people to communicate in the various lives that I had in this lifetime, helping others to communicate. So yeah, so even with all the rest of the reading, like that was what my desire was to help people to express themselves.
Mhm, mhm. So interesting. And then we have Cross, right? Book
Mm,
wait, which one is it? Sorry, no, Clover.
Clover,
Clo
and then
wait,
okay,
wait, what am I missing? Oh, where's my Clover? Oh, Clover's there,
Clover,
sorry,
you
sorry.
switched them. Oh wait, no,
So,
does Cross come
yeah, so
first?
cross is like, what was my burden? What was the burden in life? What was the thing that I felt was the thing I couldn't have or was difficult? And what's interesting to me is that you have book over that. And the first thing that comes to me is like, this person wanted to learn how to read. This person wanted an education and they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. That was the thing that was blocked to them, that they weren't able to get that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which really plays into, are we looking at an enslavement position or a
Mm-hmm.
peasant position? But this idea of seeing others that could have that, and it was something that was not made available or open to you.
Playing devil's advocate with that.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
if the burden was that they were educated or they educated themselves? Because based on the situation, that could be a problem. Being smart
Mm,
could be a problem,
yes,
you know?
absolutely. That's true
Um,
too.
and having that desire to want to help others kind of speak, communicate, that could be an issue depending on what life this is speaking of.
I'm hearing that. I'm so sad. I at Dallas, I got one of like 5 of Carrie's charm kits that were like the largest ones she's ever done. And I was like, snatch that.
Jealous.
It is a hefty tin
Mm-hmm.
of chimes. But I stupidly didn't think to bring it into this room, but I would, at that point with what you're saying, I would maybe cast some charms right over that and be like, "Can we get some clarity on this?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?" Because I think that's very interesting as well. Like, in some way, reading or education
Yes.
was a burden element for
Exactly.
this past life.
Yep.
And then we have what did work? What worked for this person, right? So Clover, what was the charm for them? What was the thing that was working? And we have letter over that.
We still gonna pour this tea. Listen, it's a running theme. We still gonna get the message out. Hell or high water. Y'all gonna get this information.
That's right. Again, there's like that clout influence, and it's almost like him
Yep.
bringing that letter to others. Like, this
Yes.
is what worked. This is what we did that worked.
Mm-hmm.
Very fascinating.
Yep.
And then we have the letter, which is his message to you. And
Mm.
it's interesting that there's the mountain here. I'm not quite sure how to exactly read that piece. Does something spark with you?
Get out of your way.
Hey.
You know what you know. You know what you know how to do. This is something that you've been doing for quite some time.
Mhm.
So if you can't do it the way that you think you should, there is an alternate route. Figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Stop being stubborn.
Stop being stubborn.
Uh-huh. Get out of your
Okay.
way.
Yeah. So that is that reading. It's kind of neat, isn't it?
Awesome. I love this. Absolutely.
Yeah, and, so we're gonna head over to Instagram here, if you want to get on over now, you can, or I'm just going to say goodbye to all of you that are here on YouTube. This marks probably the beginning of my summer hiatus or slowdown where I'm not really like going after the programming through June, July, August. I will be posting things, but it's going to be it's going to be the summer schedule, everybody. Come just kind of take it easy. But I'm so glad you guys tuned in. And for those of you that tuned in later, I really hope you enjoy this unique way of looking at Lenormand. And once again, we have the beautiful V of your what is it, best friend? Tell me what
Oh,
best friend.
Tarot BFF.
Tarot BFF. Thank you. And she's all over the place, but we'll be over on Instagram. And again, I'm Jenna Matlin. Will you give me a reading? This summer, I'm going to be working on a lot of programming for the fall. I've got some classes coming up, some real life classes, which I haven't had in a long time. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So thank you all for tuning in. And I will see you on Instagram here right quick. So thanks, guys. Thank you.